Good evening, welcome to the old review show. What can I say? Again, another interesting investigation. What I believe, well, I've tried to debunk it, the apparition, we'll get to that. The table being dragged, we'll get to that. The pendulum moving all by its own underneath, literally underneath my nose, never even noticed it, but we'll get to that. The footsteps in the dark, we'll get to that. So first things first, the S7 spirit box, always up for debate. Not 100% proof, too many variables, but some very interesting timely responses. And the freaky one was when I heard my name, and at one point I even heard his own voice, which they were unusual and strange. And a couple of yeses that came through that didn't sound like anything you would normally hear on the radio. So the S7 box was very interesting, especially at the end upstairs in the dart room. While we mention the dart room, what I will say is the guy who lives there, he lives actually upstairs and he's not far from the dart room. So a lot of the bumps and bangs we heard whilst we was in there, you've got to put down to maybe the fella living upstairs, even though he was aware of us, he'd loosed us in and he told us he was going to do his best to keep the noise down with his family. So again, there were a couple of timely responses upstairs. But anyway, let's backtrack to the cut-off camera. I'm going to play the footage again with the footsteps and notice the time. And I'm also going to play the footage from Gaz's bar at the same time, which shows no one's in there. So have a quick look at that. Now, the only logical explanation to that is one of our cameras has got the wrong time. Now, I know mine's not. It wasn't my GoPro that recorded, because my GoPro was actually asking me to upload the date manually. It started playing up at the venue. It was my night vision camera off Amazon. Now, that's some Chinese model thing that it was cheap as chips, but it's always got the date. You never have to set the date. It's no matter how many batteries you change, you put it back on, the date and the time's always correct. So I know it weren't my end. Now, I've not spoke to Gaz, but you would presume in a pub where you need recordings just in case anything's needed for evidence, if anything happens, let's say it kicks off in the bar and someone gets hurt. I can't see the pubs being out of sync. So that's a great catch. You can actually, if you listen in the background, you can hear me and the guys in the lounge, and no one's in the bar, because how it works is you've got the lounge, you've got the lounge bar, then you've got the bar's bar, and then you've got the bar. Now, in between both rooms is the doorway to get access to go upstairs to the living quarters. So we would have known. If anyone would have walked into that lounge while we was in the lounge, we would have heard the heavy door open, because it was an heavy door and I closed it. I closed it because of being somewhere with someone who I didn't know. Naturally, when you're doing an investigation, you just want to get stuck into it. You don't want to be worried about what people might be thinking. You know, I'm local to the area, so I was naturally apprehensive, thinking, I don't want this kid thinking I'm a whack job, so let's shut the door, get him out of the way, and let's get our investigation done. So that first one with the footsteps, to me, brilliant. What's also of interest is, don't forget, when I posted the picture up the other week, it was the bar where the man was seen outside. My hands might be grubby because I've been outside working in the garden. That's the same line where the man stood at the bar. Coincidence? I don't know, but bloody interesting. Now, so that's the S7 spirit box, the footsteps, the mist. When I first watched that white mist, I've got to be honest, I thought someone's vaping. We was told clearly, if you want to, Emma had asked actually, where's the cigarette place? He pointed to it. It was outside of the venue, and it was on the kind of the back. There's like a back part to the pub. So it weren't. I can guarantee. I can say, hand on heart, it definitely wasn't smoke. It definitely wasn't vape. My second line of reasoning then was: is there a machine? Is there some kind of coffee machine? Is there something there? Now what? There's nothing there. There's a glass washing machine in that area. But the pub had been closed all that day. Usually on a Wednesday it closes around 5 o'clock, I was told. But that day it had been closed all day long. They'd run out of beer on one of the drafts. So any glass washing had been done the evening before, at the end of the shift. And Gaz's daughter-in-law had already, Gaz's own daughter, I think it was, had already made this own line of inquiry with Gaz because she was baffled, as like, is the glass washing machine on or something? It's clearly something that's not been seen before on camera. So if anything around did make that kind of, have that kind of effect on the environment when it was giving off that kind of mist, it would have been seen on camera weeks, months before, years before. So then my third line of inquiry was, it's got to be cobwebs. There's some kind of cobwebs in front of the camera in different directions. You know, them fake ones, them clear spiders you get if you live in the UK, in the corner of the room that seem to, they're really difficult to see. My hands are rotten. I do apologise. I must wash them. They're really difficult to see, and they tend to linger in the corner of the room. And the webs, sometimes you won't even notice they're there until you're cleaning up there and you get a load of bloody cobwebs. So I was presuming this is cobwebs. We've left the door open, because we've left the door open to the female toilet. So I was thinking it's created like a bit of a draft. The wind's hitting the web, it's making it undulate, and then you're getting these lovely swirls. Literally the next day, I was tattooing the landlord on the morning, so I'd asked him if I could go up there and shoot some drone footage just for the beginning of the video. I didn't mention what I thought about the cobwebs, because I thought if you do, if it is cobwebs, if by any reason he is trying to encourage that there's a ghost here and there's not, you know, let's say trying to manipulate things, he'll want to wipe them away. So I didn't mention anything. And I'll get back to what I've just said, because Gaz is sound, man. Gaz says he ain't after that at all. I've gone back there and there's no cobwebs. In fact, I felt quite cheeky and I felt quite bad in thinking it, because when I went back there, the cleaner was there. And when you go over daytime, the place is absolutely spotless. There's no cobwebs, there's nothing like that. And like I say, the place was spotless. So that was two things we caught that were compelling. Now we go to what I think, for me personally, from my experience of the night, this thing got me the most. When I asked when I was calling out on the crystal pendulum, and I asked if whatever was there could see the light, and straight away we get a thud come from the bar, and then you get the noise of the table dragging. Now, what a complete utter shitter this is the fact that the table noise happens, and shortly after you hear a car go driving past. Now, I've played that back many times with my headphones on. You hear the car in the distance, and you literally hear it ascend as it's coming close to the pub, and then you hear the noise descend as it goes past, but it is in very quick succession to what sounds like a table being dragged. Now, when my son watched this footage with me, my own son this was, who knows I'm not a faker, he was like, why haven't you reacted? How come it's not freaked you out? And afterwards I thought, he's got a good point there. And I was racking my brains, and I remembered at the time when I heard that noise, my first instinct when I heard the wooden noise was someone's trying to get in the pub, someone's banging the doors, someone's seen us in here, they've seen the lights on. I mean, it was off at that point, but they've seen the lights on and they're banging the doors to come in. Now, because Gaz weren't there and Gaz had left us there and Lee's upstairs, my first reaction was, be quiet. And then it weren't till kind of a couple of seconds later when Ivan goes, if I wouldn't have heard that car, I thought that was a table dragging. Then all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, that sounded like a table dragging. So that was weird. That was another strange one that happened right underneath our noses. That was like hilariously like, I don't know, right underneath our noses is the right saying, because we didn't even react. Is that because we've done too many investigations? Is that because I've watched too many bloody fakers on YouTube? Even though I've had experiences happening, Maya Chilbab, even though I've had crazy experiences happen in my life, there's that much fake stuff gets pushed out that it starts to condition you a little bit. And even myself, I've had to say about, wait, you've had experiences, you've been grabbed, you've heard someone shout in your ear, you've seen someone at home run up your stairs, and I've run up the stairs and no one's there. So I've had genuine paranormal experiences. So even these things have got me questioning stuff, and I'm like, oh, what is that? Is that this? Is that that? Which is sad, really, because the magic, I don't want the magic to go from me, because at 50 years old, I love the adrenaline rush. So I do these. I mean, I don't because I'm looking for stuff, but also I'm looking for the ultimate adrenaline rush. I want to be in a room and have something walk over to me, or something do something that's on camera. I'm going to get to that. That's just reminded me of something my son said. Anyway, I'm wondering if I'm drifting off, so let's drift back. The best one for me that's compelled me the most is when I say to the Spirit Cave, which is the girl that came through, conjecture, could be completely my own hand, I get that. But when I says, can you bang something, there's a thud on the table that was that close and that subtle. I never noticed it. Ivan never noticed it, and Emma never noticed it. Now straight away again, my son, again, who knows I'm not going to fake. My son straight away said, well, where's everyone else? And it's a good point, because he's made me realise I've got to order some more cameras, and I'm going to order some more cameras. Soon as a bit of extra cash comes in, I'm going to order me some of them cheap and cheerful night vision cameras I've got. I want to get a couple more. And in future, when we use the pendulum, I will make sure, even if I'm just using my iPhone, there will be a camera on the pendulum and the board for the responses, and there's going to be a camera from another angle which is going to clearly show where we're all positioned. Because watch that pendulum board again. It's easy to watch that and think bullshit, fake. You'll notice my hands, you'll see where my hands are. I think I'm holding the pendulum and my other arm supporting it underneath. Now, Ivan's got the camera. I've watched it so many times. There's no movement in Ivan's hand as the pendulum board, or just before the pendulum board moves, which to me, that's negated Ivan completely. If Ivan was to do any kind of tapping, I would imagine this camera hand is going to move. There's going to be some wobble in the camera. It weren't tripoded. I've got one of those Volta Pro and things, but it wasn't put in the tripod. Ivan was literally holding it. And God bless him, he done a good job this week, because at the end he actually recorded my face, but we didn't need to keep the footage. He never cut me off. So it weren't me, and it weren't Ivan. We can't see where Emma's hands are on the video, which is a shitter. But Emma's, if you watch Emma in the investigations, Emma's quite passive. She'll contribute and she'll say stuff, but she's very much an observer. Because as much as Emma believes in the paranormal, and I know she does, because she's had experiences, she had a funny experience of the night, which I'll get to after the investigation. She's still very much, she investigates like we do. She's more of this type who likes to kind of watch and wait and see what spirit's going to do, not kind of encouraging it with silly things. So when I say, can you make a bump, I'd be very surprised if Emma was the type of person to do like a confirmation bump, like, this is what we mean, spirit. We usually, if one of us calls out, we normally all stay pretty bloody quiet. We're quite good at that. So the thud happens, but the K2 meter doesn't move. The K2 meter does not move, but the pendulum board lifts up. Now the pendulum board lifts that up that perfectly straight that when I'm looking down on it, I didn't even notice it move. It's that line of sight thing, like an arrow. If it would have gone to the left, to the right, up, down, any other direction, I would have noticed the difference. My eyes would have picked it up. But that board literally moves straight up, which I've not had a chance to recreate this, and I wish I had done, because it's only been yesterday I thought, shit, you should have gone to that table and you should have banged it from underneath. I really get the strong feeling whatever hit the table come from underneath the table, and come from underneath the table that precise. It's like it's hit the dead centre of that pendulum board. That's got me the most. That one's got me more than the apparition, because the apparition's messing with my head. Because them swirls, it's like, what is that? What is that? There's too much, there's too many questions with that, as impressive as it is. I would have loved to have been in the room at the time and witnessed it, or to have even caught it on 2 separate cameras, but unfortunately we didn't. The table dragging, brilliant, but still could have somehow, because it was too close to it being that car driving past. I don't think it was. But again, we weren't in the room. I'd have liked to have been in the room. But the pendulum board, we was in the room. It was right underneath our noses. And that's got me. I've not made a fuss of that one. I've not even done any short videos of that one, purely because we've not got the second angle, and I wish we had. If we'd got the second angle, I'd be messaging the debunkers and saying, look at this. But we hadn't got the third angle, and I'm gutted that we hadn't got the third angle, because I do believe that was genuine poltergeist activity. After the investigation, the following day, Emma messages me. She wakes up in the middle of the night, and there's a little girl staring at her. She closes her eyes, opens her eyes back up, little girl's gone. Now, is that Emma's own imagination? Who knows? Strange one, because we caught some strange things on that S7 box in the party room. What I will say is, though, from what I experienced there and what was coming through on the S7 spirit box, the things that I believe were spirit. Always up for conjecture, I know. So, skeptics, crack on. I'm on your side with debunking things. I got the strong impression there's a young boy there. At no point in the bar did I get any kind of sense or any kind of thing of any young girls. Nothing like that was coming through. But there's one point, and I say, I hear a male voice, and it's ever so strange, but it's almost like you hear, yes. That ain't meant to be like some foreign accent. That was meant to be like it's like almost like a robotic synthesized voice goes, yes. And it was every time something was coming through. There seemed to be a timed response. It seemed to be the sound of a boy. Anyway, we will be going back. Gaz has said he's got no problem with me going around there doing another investigation. Yeah, we're going to go back. We will do it again. There's another room that Gaz wanted us to do because he has a feeling there, but it was right next door to the living quarters. So I'm going to see if Gaz will let me go back one of the daytimes when they're trading, and I'm just going to go up and sit up there for a couple of hours with a spirit box and take a camera up there. This week we got a good one, guys. Anyway, let's backtrack. We need to start doing this. Show us channel some support. Please hit the like. Even if you think the video is shit boring, it's a real quiet investigation, please hit the like. Write a comment. Even if it's this video was shit boring, it helps. And I know I do apologise for the shit boring videos, but genuine investigation, sometimes literally it's me and Ivan, or me, Ivan and Emma walking around and yeah, nothing's happening. But we've stood by the thing, we're not going to fake things. Like I said, in the future, more cameras. I've got to get more cameras on the go, because something happened in the bar the other night that if I'd have had a camera facing the bar I would have caught. And something happened the other night during the crystal pendulum session that if I'd have had another camera from another angle, well, we might have just caught, without any question of a doubt, some poltergeist activity. So yeah, hit the like, please, hit the like, write a comment. Hear my dog's growling. What you both growling at? So yeah, hit the like, hit the subscribe, more investigations coming. There's a competition going on for 30 East Drive. Spread the word of the channel. Let's get the subscribers up to 500, and I can give you one of the guys the chance to come with us on an investigation, which will be a right hard laugh, and we'll record it and document it and get it on YouTube. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the footage. I hope you enjoyed the comparisons. I've not shown the footage on the video. I did say I was going to show the footage of another time when I called out, but due to copyright reasons from the owner, I'm not allowed to show the footage. Apparently, they don't tell you beforehand. I went there with one of the big paranormal groups, let's say. Paid the money, 70 quid. Got to the place, Newsham Orphanage, and then got told, you can't put any recordings here online because the owner likes to say that he owns all intellectual property. Which is a shame, because I got a great investigation in the little boys' corridor where they tell you not to do it, but naughty Wadey decided to call out and started asking if there's anything up there could see the light, and exactly the same thing happened as what happened in the pub. Started to get bumps, started to get bangs, started to get things happen. Now I'm sitting on that video. I've got that video. I have to do everything on my phone, so I've not got much memory. All my editing, all the videos get made on my iPhone. But I've still managed to keep hold of that video. And it's compelling. So I think what I'm going to do is, on more investigations, you're going to be hearing Wade say at some point, can you see the light? Because it seems to trigger, if there's something there, it seems to trigger some kind of response. It seems to trigger bumps, bangs, and more like poltergeist activity. Shit moving. I mean, if that table did drag, which I've got to be honest, I'm on the fence whether it was the table dragging or whether it was the car, even though I've played the footage back and to me the car sounds like it's in the distance and comes past. But you've got to remain sceptical as well as remain open-minded. You've got to kind of sit in that grey area. Yeah, I've lost my trail of thought there, but another great investigation. We've been doing this now for, it's been about 6 months. And I think in 6 months, we ain't done too bad. They keep getting better, we keep getting more gear, and eventually we will get the ultimate. So, peace out.